That's awesome. Good for you getting out there and starting off back into the home building business. Also, by the way, if you're watching here, if you have any questions for Brad for Around the Home, drop them in the comments, and we'll get to those for Brad. And you can always go to WeddingtonCustomHomes.com to learn more information about what Brad has to offer here. He's a local custom home builder here in Southern Indiana, based out of Henryville, and that's his backyard there. But this was something new to me that you showed me, and I thought it was a really cool thing, especially if you're a person of faith. So when did this trend begin of homeowners, wanting people to just write words on their 2x4s here?
That's a very, very old thing to do, but I would say in the past probably 8 to 10 years, I'm starting to see more and more of it.
Okay.
And I'd say probably 50% of my homeowners will put scripture in their home. This particular homeowner right here left a marker and said, put whatever scripture you want to put on the walls. It's pretty neat. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So that we see for every house is built by someone, but the builder of all things is God. Hebrews 3:4. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Ephesians 5:25. So yeah, I just thought that was a really cool thing. So then you cover it up with the drywall and it's just there.
Yeah, we're doing that today. Actually, we're covering everything up with drywall. So, but the word is in there. So that's what's important to the homeowners, and it's just a very unique thing. And I enjoy building for people like that. So it's definitely unique.
An extra foundation. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. And so the house, I don't know if this is the house you're talking about, but I just thought this was a very unique home because we talked about, the craftsman style homes, and then there's kind of modern farmhouse going on. And then this is just more of a modern look. So tell us what you got going on here.
Yep. That's definitely more of a modern look. So we're actually looking at the back side of the home there. So the front, it's very unassuming because that high roof that you're seeing there, once you get to the front, it's, standard height. So it just looks like kind of a lot of roof. And then you go to the back side of that house and it's like, wow. So you've got the big grouping of windows on the right-hand side there above that garage in the basement. That's the master. So they're going to have a view straight out the back. And then the other big grouping of windows is the great room. So we got a view out the rear, and then the covered porch is right off the back of the kitchen. So basically, the rooms that you really want to have emphasis on views are all across the back of that home, and they've got a really neat view. That's up in Corden. We hit a tremendous amount of rock when we were digging that basement, and we kind of knew that was going to happen with what we had. As far as we had a lot of cedar trees growing, and a lot of times when you see cedars, that's indicative of a high rock level. But instead of having to haul those boulders away, the homeowner really thought it looked unique. So next time I go out there, I'll get a picture. We actually stacked a lot of the boulders that we dug out of that basement.
Oh, nice.
Down the side of the home, and made like a retaining wall out of the stone we pulled out of the hole.
Repurpose it. Yep.
Yeah. It's really unique because a lot of people will even pay for big boulders like that for retaining walls. Well, we were actually able to make them from digging the basement. So
love it.
One of those lemonade out of lemon type things.
There you go. So when you have a unique design like this, obviously I think, the decision is going to be up to the homeowner, how their home is going to look. So how involved do you get into their design, or do you leave that up to them and like the architect or the designer when it comes to preparing a home like this?
It depends on what stage I get involved in. Some homeowners will already have plans. Some homeowners will have just an idea in their head. That's the case on that one. So they had an idea of what they wanted. And before we ever even started the home, while they were going through the drafting process, I said, let me know, give me a few days heads up, and I'll see if I can make it there with you, with the draftsman, because I speak the same language as them, obviously. And that's what happened there. They got an appointment with the draftsman. I sat down with them, and some of the things they wanted to do, I said, you might want to, rethink that. And then other things,
Hmm.
I said, hey, that's a great idea. And we were able to make this plan work. And they're tickled. So that house is drywalled, and actually we start trimming that house on Monday. So we're probably about a month and a half to 2 months from completion on that one. And I'm real excited to see the way that one turns out.
Right before winter, good timing there. Yeah. And so before even the designs are made, say, yeah, they're looking at this property and they like a property. How much would you go out with the realtor or with them to like scope out the property? Would you leave that up to them and the realtor, or would you join them out there to look at it?
Once again, it comes down to timing. I prefer, you know, sometimes you'll have homeowners that have the land, have the plans, have finance, and everything's lined out.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people will come to me when all they have is the idea of what they want to do. And I'll tell them at that stage, hey, if you're searching for land and you find a couple, two or three parcels, once again, let me know. I'll go with them. I'll walk the property with them. I'll see where they're wanting to build the home to see if that property will work for what their vision is. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm not, it's not 100% sales mode. I'll tell them, hey, this one works better. Property A works better than property B. I've got that situation actually right now. One of the larger homes that we're building in Floyd's Knobs, the homeowner had looked at two different parcels, and one parcel was just wasn't good. It wasn't good. It
Hmm.
was and it was quite a bit cheaper. So obviously that drew the homeowner to him. And I said, listen, there's a reason this one's cheaper. We're gonna have to bring in dirt. We're gonna have to do this. We're gonna have to do that. And by the time we do all of that, you've in essence spent as much on this project as you would if you bought the piece of property that you actually like. Um,
Right.
so there's pros and cons to every property, and there's budgets for every person. So if that budget wouldn't have worked, I'd have said, hey, we really need to look elsewhere. But with them, I said, hey, this property, even though I think that property was 30,000 more than the other, I said, this is going to work way better for your budget and for your end result than the property that's a little bit cheaper. So
And when you advise people, in those beginning stages, this is before you even pick up a dollar. I mean,
oh, I
you're
know.
helping out.
Yeah, yeah. What's funny, I signed a contract on a home last night, and I looked back to our first point of contact, and it was September of 2023. So
It
that's
could
two
take some time.
years. Before, and even now, it's still, we signed a contract, but we won't start construction on that home until probably, hopefully December. If not December, it might be February. Um, and that's when the draws first start coming in. So it's a long, it can be a very long sales cycle. It can be as short as they've got everything together and they're ready to go. So it varies from homeowner to homeowner. That's why it's custom homes.